All right, Mr. Shane O'Mac, we are once again live. It's Wednesday, so that means it's time for Hit the Ropes. How are you doing, my friend?
I am good to go, man. It is another beautiful Wednesday night.
Yes,
Um, got some stuff to talk about.
there's a lot to talk about, isn't there?
Yeah, we got people joining the unemployment line. I'm pretty sure some of them won't be there for very long.
True.
There's a lot of moving parts in the wrestling landscape right now. We got a pay-per-view coming up. We've got Hall of Fame nominee, given out this week. There's some stuff to talk about, man.
Absolutely. I'm ready to go. I didn't think that we'd come to a time where there's so many free agents on TNA's side that people would be interested in. So this is a very weird and interesting time. Um, Before we get to all that, I just got a side note that we didn't really plan on talking about. Your boy Josh Barnett in TNA is
My
challenging
boy.
for your boy. Well, everybody in TNA is your boy, but
at the rate at the rate they're going, I might not have any boys left. But
it'll
okay.
be it's gonna be Bobby Lashley, Josh Barnett, and the Pope. That's it. Oh, and the greatest commentator who ever lived. So, but I believe that's tomorrow, right? The big heavyweight title match.
Yeah, I believe it's tomorrow. I didn't look at the previews last week, with this whole taping weeks and months in advance, kind of like ROH. I kind of lose sight of what is supposed to show up when.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's tomorrow because I remember Lashley was on commentary last week when Barnett did his warm up match, which
Mm.
was not very good. So
Oh
I think it's
no.
I think it's tomorrow.
Yeah, I missed. I missed. I did see. I saw a posting on Twitter, and then I also saw on Facebook a little video, little montage of who is Josh Barnett. So I'm like, okay, good. They're introducing the guy who's about to challenge for their championship. Uh, I'm glad they're at least taking the time to introduce them to the audience because probably 80% have no clue who he is.
And I mean, it's not like he did as a big deal when he came out. It was just this guy. He doesn't look like a star the way he was dressed. He doesn't look like a
No.
star. He just looks like, this slightly overweight big guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So go figure. It'll be interesting to see how the reaction of TNA Impact Wrestling um, and how it goes from here. Um, let's stay on the Impact Wrestling train for a moment. Another thing that just kind of popped up recently was, did you see TNA's recent hire to their staff and possibly on camera?
Are you talking about Bruce Pritchard?
I am talking about Bruce Pritchard. He's making, I guess, because he already had one stint in TNA. Am I correct there?
Is it just one? I don't know. He
I don't
he's,
know. I can't
he
keep up.
he seems like a name that's been back and forth within TNA.
Yeah, I've always heard Bruce Pritchard. Obviously he's got that long history with WWE, but I've really started to get a grip of who Bruce Pritchard is because he has a podcast now. Like everybody else, he's joined the podcast realm. Have you listened to any of his podcasts?
That would be a no.
What? Come on. He's got
I
the
mean,
he's
what
got the
what what
best
is what
wrestling
is
podcast from a wrestling
what does he
perspective.
got? What does he have that's going to differentiate him from all the other podcasts not named Hit the Ropes.
Good point. But his is different. He doesn't just like spit on news and stuff like that. His is just accounts. What happened during this time? What happened? The most recent one was tell us about WrestleMania 9. So he goes through it. He has a co-host who basically pulls all the reports from Dave Meltzer's. Plus, apparently Bruce Pritchard had kept a book of like wins and losses and all this stuff throughout the years. So they've compiled those two things and then Bruce Pritchard's memories, and they just go through basically the storylines. Okay, so WrestleMania 9, that was when Bret Hart had the title and dropped it to, or Yoko had the title and Bret Hart won it. Whichever way, the outdoor Las Vegas one, Hulk Hogan made the return, right? And so he just goes through the history of Hulk Hogan getting signed again and going back to the details. So outside of Hit the Ropes, I'd say it's the best podcast out there right now for wrestling. So it gives you an inside look to everything, man. It's very, very good, actually. So I wonder if it'll stop, or now that he's going back to TNA and joining apparently on camera. For those who tuned in during, what was it, Shane? Back when they were doing it for the contract, and Joey, what's the one that is the Brazzers guy? Joey Ryan, where he they were doing the whole contract thing where they were doing it like American Idol style. Bruce Pritchard was out there.
Oh, your gut check.
Gut check, yeah. So for those who might be fans of old TNA, if you remember Gut Check, Bruce Pritchard was on camera for that as well.
They try so many different things. They just throw so many different things at the wall. Like, seriously. Quick side note, for those watching on YouTube, I'm doing my best Kellyanne Conway. I'm sitting on my couch with my feet in the chair. That's my best Kellyanne Conway. For those who stay with the political stuff, that's why I look the way I am. I'm doing a Kellyanne Conway. HTR is political.
It is political.
All right. So since we've been talking about TNA, let's switch to and make two number one. So let's stick with TNA because they've had several releases ahead of their taping. I believe they start taping tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, it's sometime this week that they begin their next set of tapings. And there's some high-profile names who are no longer there. So the landscape of TNA is changing because a couple days ago, we found out that Drew Galloway and Matt and Jeff Hardy, which means Rebby Sky as well, or Rebby Hardy, and King Maxwell, and Vanguard One, and Senior Benjamin, they're all gone.
Goodbye.
So we thought that was it. We thought that was it. I mean, it's bad. That's bad enough already because Matt and Jeff Hardy are your tag team champions. And Drew Galloway is your whatever that stupid other title is. He's MMA that champion.
European champion.
Yeah, that thing. He's that champion. So two of your titles, and these, in TNA, you have the TNA World title, and since this era of deletion, the tag titles have become the second highest title. I would say, when Eddie Edwards was champion, that the tag titles were the number one titles in TNA. Because Eddie Edwards is, just bland. Um, and then you have whatever that darn title. What the hell is that damn title? The Grand Champion.
Universal Grand
Yeah,
Champion, Grand Wizard. Wait, that's something else.
the Grand Championship, whatever thingy. That title, which is just as worthless as the Booker T title that TNA used to have. Um,
Oh, let's not go there.
your top three championships. And then that wasn't it. Because now the Bennetts, Mike Bennett
Mm,
and Maria Kanellis Bennett,
mm,
they're done. And Jade, aka Mia Yim, aka the
mm.
woman who we just saw on TV last Thursday talking about challenging current women's champion, Rosemary, she's gone. What the hell's going on in TNA? I know it's my company, but what the hell's going on in TNA?
Yeah, dang it, I don't know. I just don't know. You reference some of the releases. Out of all those releases, man, they're pretty good. They are talented. These are guys that if they were released from WWE, you knew all of a sudden they were coming in and right away they're probably vying for a title in TNA. A lot of them have attained that championships, as you previously mentioned, and now they are taking their gold. Shane, I know you saw it on Twitter. Let's put it up for folks who didn't see on Twitter. This is a crazy post. Reba Hardy, what is it? Reby, Rubu,
Rebby,
Rabubo,
Rebecca.
Mrs. Hardy, she put out there on Twitter, she's posting, if MFers don't start coming correct, I'm about to melt some gold and have me some new gold hoops. God dang. Got a picture of the baby with the gold hoops. I think she's been practicing. Shane, she's taking the Lundra Blaze, throwing a WWF title into a trash can to a whole new level, if you ask me.
I mean, like she said, they need to come correct. These Hardys have done so much for the company as of late. You are supposed to make sure that this is the act you do not lose. Now, apparently, there was some talk months ago, and it seemed like it could possibly go that route. And then apparently, they TNA like change course or whatever. Matt wanted some creative control, and I'm sorry, the broken Matt stuff, even though it's not everybody's cup of tea, it's creative as hell. So the man has a mind for the business. Um, he wanted some creative control, and apparently TNA wanted, to make it like they're getting a piece of their money when they do outside stuff. Hardys ain't no fools.
Nah,
They know they make such good money on the road. Why do they need to cut TNA in on that? Come on, son.
I don't know. But your boy Matt Hardy is on fire. He's on fire. Did you see this on Twitter, Shane? I got to ask you if you saw Matt Hardy's post and then the response. So for people who are listening, I'm going to try and do this is written in broken Hardy English, so it's kind of hard for me to go ahead and spit it out. But I am formally invite Meek Mans SD Live champs, the family of Wyatts, to no stop. This is in 2016. I'm sorry, Shane.
I was gonna say.
I was like, what? But I thought there was another one. I'll have to go back. I'm pretty sure he challenged him again, but I could be lying. So I had to catch myself on that one.
I was gonna say, I'm like,
hold on.
total
But it's
nonstop
up right
deletion.
now. Hold on. Okay. Here it is. Sorry. I'm trying to pull up. No. For some reason, okay, I'm not gonna be able to blow it up, but I can still share it for those who are checking in here. And let's take a look. So let's see what Matt Hardy said this time. So he's talking about Matt Hardy going to SmackDown. I certainly do. Champions of the Meek Man's Blue Show. At least I can trust my brother Nero. We know what went down with Randy Orton. Maybe we'll get into that in a minute. But Bray Wyatt was gangsta in his response, Shane. You see his response? Bray Wyatt just says, you know where to find us. Gangsta. Bray Wyatt is a gangsta. Man, Shane, what do you think about broken Matt Hardy, whether he's for the Wyatts or against the Wyatts? Is that not a must? Does that just not have to happen? I mean,
listen, we all know that Matt Hardy is real good at drawing intrigue. We know he's real good at working the internet. And he's got it to the point where now that he is free from TNA, fans are salivating at the thought of the Hardys being back in WWE. You know, and I've mentioned this before on the show. I'm hoping that when they get back to the WWE, because I feel it's happening, when they get back to the WWE, I want it to be, you know, some of the current incarnation of the Hardys. I don't want a nostalgic act like we saw with Bubba Ray and Devon. You know, this isn't Matt Hardy version 1 talking to Bray Wyatt, even though I was a huge Matt Hardy version 1 fan. This isn't the Team Extreme Hardys talking to Bray Wyatt. This is this current incarnation of the Hardy Boys. I want to see this version in WWE. It's going to be awesome. Fans are going to love it. I guarantee you.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, man. And just think of, it used to be Jeff Hardy running the show that everybody adored and coveted, you know, the autographs or the pictures. But somehow everybody knows that, you know, Matt Hardy was the brains behind the two. Jeff Hardy was an athletic one. But it's what a turnaround for Matt Hardy. He's somehow stepped out of his younger brother's shadow, doing big things, and now he is in demand. So I hope they don't mess this up. I hope they don't just go back to just the standard Hardy Boys as you were talking about. There has been internet talk of whether or not TNA owns the rights to broken Matt Hardy.
I don't think so. I don't think Matt was dumb enough for them to own that.
Yeah. I mean, they were able to be Matt and Jeff Hardy in the WWE. If at the age of Jeff was 16, 17, maybe Matt was 18. And even back then, WWE was keen on changing people's names. They somehow got in with their own names. So you got to give them some credit. I mean, a lot of credit, and they obviously know what they're doing.
Now we've been talking about the Hardys. You know, let's shift focus a little bit to Drew Galloway. Now, here's the guy who started in WWE. You know, the chosen one, McMahon, had this guy as his number one and all of that. We've talked to him, in the past. He leaves WWE, goes to TNA, and I think it was best for him because he was able to become, a much more well-rounded wrestler in terms of mic work and in-ring work. And he also got bigger because he was this tall, skinny thing in WWE. You know, how do you what do you see now with Drew Galloway? Do you see him just stick to the indies like how Cody Rhodes is doing, or do you think he ends up in the WWE?
You know what? Had this been Drew Galloway on his own, yes, he immediately jumps back to the WWE. When you have such an affection for a wrestler and that you name him Vince McMahon's chosen one, even if you were let go, that doesn't go away. There's hope that he will go out and blossom as as you mentioned, gain size, gain more importantly experience. But they're not going to. Looks are everything. They're not going to gobble up. They being the WWE, everybody that was just released. It's just not going to happen. There's a brand split. Could they use them? Probably, but a la Cody Rhodes jumping straight in from WWE into TNA, I just don't see them gobbling up everybody immediately. I think Drew will have to travel the globe a little bit, and then
These are
maybe in
some
the
big names, dude.
they
These
are
are some big names,
they
and
are
they have the UK championship stuff. Drew Galloway is from that side. They've got NXT. You've got 205 lot. They've got a lot of different stuff. These are some big names. I mean, the other day WWE posted, a happy birthday to Marie Kanellis. I mean,
did
come
they?
on.
Oh, I missed that.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So on my premise, let's go. Let's play on my rules and assume everybody's not coming because we'll just assume that there's ego involved. You're not going to just gobble up a bunch of TNA guys. Who gets picked up out of this group? Somebody's getting left out. You're talking about the Mike and Maria. I don't know if Maria's all on board because she's doing the school. She's trying to graduate. I don't know if they just pick up Mike by himself. I like Mike. Mike's been on the show. They were one of my favorite interviews we've had. So I genuinely like him, and I thought the world of him when he was in ROH. But do they take Mike over Drew? If they pick up the Hardys, let's assume Hardys are a given.
Hardy's off the table. Yeah, exactly.
So
Hardy's off the table.
we got to pick one or the other. We got Mike, a fresh new face for our audience, or we got a guy who might come back and rejoin the 3-man band or whatever the frick they're called.
Oh man,
Come on,
I
fresh face.
because like you
One-man
said,
band.
I don't know if they take Mike without Maria, and Maria seems to be all about getting her education stuff taken care of. You know,
Yeah.
smart woman, but I mean, yeah, I don't want to see Drew come back because as much as he was the chosen one, the last images we saw of him was with Jinder Mahal and Heath Slater. That's kind of hard, for him to come back and then people take him seriously. You
Yep.
know, TNA only's been having 300,000 people out a good week watching their show. So, fans, I don't know
It's hard.
because Maria is the star right now of that pair. She's the star. So if you don't get her, do you want Mike by himself, or do you take Mike in hopes that Maria will then follow a few months down the line?
I think it's a little bit of the opposite. You take both of them with the assumption that Maria will eventually drop off, but hopefully you can make Mike into a star, and he can stand on his own. So I think she would come on board for the short time, and then let take the leash off, let my man walk on his own, whatever you want to call it. But Drew could be a good piece. He could be a good working piece, a much more credible tag team with Heath Slater than Rhino. I would understand that if they got back together. That tag team scene is still weak. You got the Usos, you got the American Alpha, and then you got a bunch of garbage.
We need to put that on Twitter. Like, who do you take? Do you take
let's
Drew?
Start a Twitter poll.
Do you take Drew or do you take Mike? I like both guys, but it's like you said, I'm a big Mike Bennett fan, and him being that new face to the WWE. I'm gonna take Mike.
You take Mike. I agree. You take Mike. Hot Dog says, and he's in the chat room, if Galloway were back in the WWE, you put him on SmackDown, and Hot Dog thinks he's an instant star, and he's seems to be lukewarm on Bennett. Says you put him in NXT with or without Maria, and kind of see how it goes. You roll the dice. I don't know, man. I'm a big believer of Mr. Bennett. Man, y'all got to go back to, if you don't believe, I think it was during his ROH stint, somewhere around there.
The Fresh Prospects, the Prospect
YouTube.
Stuff.
Yes, that was good stuff, and some of it was hit and miss, but he had some real gems in there. So he's creative. That's what that showed me. He's got the look. He's okay in the ring. So there's a lot. NXT might not be a bad route for him. I think you take him over someone who will get the Jack Swagger treatment.
I mean, he can come back and then he can tag up with Rusev like Jinder is.
Please don't even go in that route.
All right. Well, let's transition now. WWE. The big thing that we were discussing earlier this week was Beth Phoenix being the newest inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame. And that news, when that news dropped and we started talking, you and I were kind of in agreement. Like, Beth Phoenix, is not like one of the names that you instantly think about and say, you know what? WWE Hall of Fame right there. Stokes was a little different. He was like, I think her resume, he's basically saying her resume kind of warrants it. But Beth Phoenix, as much as I liked her and the Glamazon and all of that, I don't know. I don't know if she did a whole lot to separate herself to say Hall of Famer. She wasn't China. She wasn't Trish or Lita. All three of those ladies did something that separated themselves from the pack. I don't know about Beth.
Absolutely. It is a resounding no. Shane, I've been looking into this, and I don't know if this tell me, is this a case of we got tag team, we got single stars, we have no women in this Hall of Fame? No, you gotta have a woman. Is this because there are so many people that have been left out of the Hall of Fame. Is this where we had to put a woman into the to the occasion for the sake of making sure we have a female being inducted this year?
I definitely feel that is the case. I feel like they they wanted a woman, and I guess they landed on her, and they have a good relationship with Adam Copeland, aka Edge, who she's
Yes.
with. So I guess that that helped the decision as well. But I really feel that this was like, okay, we got to have a certain quota. We need equal representation, or some, not equal representation, but we need representation of the female gender. So let's get a woman. Oh, Beth Phoenix, she's not doing anything. Glamazon was pretty good. She stepped in the ring in the Royal Rumble and then used her womanly charms to eliminate the Great Khali. So let's put her in.
Yo, let me speak on this a minute, Shane, because I've been crunching some numbers. We're looking at Beth Phoenix' career, right? By comparison, okay, let's say we do need a female. You telling me that we taking Beth Phoenix over China? Are we saying the in-ring stuff maybe a toss-up, but if this is Hall of Fame, we got to take everything that goes with it. I'm sorry, I don't take her over Sable.
I was just about to say, Sable ain't in there. She changed the game, in some regard too.
For sure.
And I mean, you got Brock Lesnar in the WWE. Sable is Brock Lesnar's woman. I'm like, come on. If you need a woman, why not Sable?
I don't know. What is going on? We got Sable, as we mentioned. China, as we mentioned. Shane, call me crazy. Give me Ivory. Let me get Ivory. Can I get Ivory in the Hall of Fame first? Let me get Ivory. Where Ivory at? I don't see her in the Hall of Fame. Come on now. She had some hardcore matches. Her hardcore match with Tori. Did you see that? Did you see the hardcore match with Tori? Man, come on. Ooh, Beth Phoenix? Shane, I'm looking at this tweet, and this tweet, and I've been trying to fact check it, and so far it's checking out. This tweet, let me give credit to where credit is due. WWE Female Facts on Twitter, right? I'm reading this tweet because I'm checking up on Beth Phoenix, trying to find out why she's getting to the Hall of Fame. Did you know, Shane, according to this tweet, Beth Phoenix is the youngest person to ever be inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame? Was her career so remarkable that she became the youngest ever to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? I mean, she just retired in 2012, 5 years. If this is like baseball, I think maybe basketball, you get a five-year rule, something like that, just to make sure you ain't coming back and unretiring before you can get in. This is the equivalent of a first ballot Hall of Fame, Shane.
Right.
The Glamazon. For what? What did she do? She was strong. And she wrestled in arguably the weakest point in women's wrestling. Going back before there was like Alundra Blaze, not like the 1990s. Since Trish Stratus and Lita put the women back on the map, probably the weakest point. So I'm still trying to figure out.
I'm trying to figure, the youngest. She has that distinction right now. As you mentioned, the youngest inductee into the Hall of Fame. And, I just don't see it. You know, at one point Randy Orton was like the youngest WWE champion, and now Randy Orton, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. So having that distinction was fine. Brock Lesnar, he had that, a similar distinction. He's a Hall of Famer. You hear that name, okay, Hall of Fame. Beth Phoenix, I don't hear it. I don't see it. And Hot Dog is asking who's more deserving, Jackie or Beth Phoenix? And I'm sorry, Miss Jackie, if you take her career,
but Jackie's already in, isn't she? She was in.
Yeah, okay. She got in a couple years ago. But he's like, who's deserving more, her or Beth Phoenix? And I'm sorry, Miss Jackie is more deserving in terms looking at the resume. It's not just WWE. Right. Jackie has wrestled in other places. I was like, okay, fine. Maybe Beth Phoenix was like setting the world on fire elsewhere. So I was doing a quick research, and I'm like, no, she didn't really set the world on fire anywhere else.
She came straight from like Buffalo into the WWE practically. So I don't know. I was looking. Listen,
I'm not gonna take it away from her, but I'm just saying, I'm
gonna take it away from her. I'm gonna walk up on the stage in Orlando and I'm gonna say, this ain't yours. I'm gonna pick a legend, any legend out of the crowd who hasn't got a title or an induction yet, and I'm gonna hand it to them. The first person I see, whether it be Ivory, the Ghost of China, rest in peace, whoever I see, I'm handing them the ring. Shane.
Oh my gosh.
To her credit, she is 7th all time, tied with Mickie James for the longest reign in women's championship history. Blah 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 blah. 3 title reigns, 367 days. So she's up there in title reigns, but again, asterisk, one of the weakest times in women's wrestling history. But she's got that.
I mean, I don't know, man. Victoria. What about Victoria? Give me Victoria. I don't know. Maybe she spent too much. Maybe Victoria spent too much time in TNA for her to get in.
Wow. Kurt Angle spent more time in TNA than WWE, and he's in. So,
that's true. Oh, this I was just shocked.
Can I get Bertha Faye? Can I get Bertha Faye? Where's Bertha Faye? She's still alive. Is Bertha Faye still alive? All right, maybe not Bertha Faye. Maybe I'm stretching just a little bit on Bertha Faye. But you get that.
We go call a bunch of different names. Kelly.
She's in Orlando. What is the other way around? It's a swerve. Instead of her inducting Beth Phoenix, they tell her right before they go out, we changed our mind. Go ahead and give this to Kelly while you're out there. I'll be all right with that.
It's the Oscars. It's the Oscars all over again.
That's right.
All right. Yeah, that right there was just a little mind-boggling to us. But we shall move on. We have a pay-per-view coming up. We have the WWE Raw pay-per-view, the final pay-per-view before WrestleMania, WWE Fast Lane. How pumped are you overall for Sunday, sir?
Ooh, how pumped am I? This is usually a throwaway. We're right before WrestleMania. Not much can happen, right?
Wrong.
Wrong?
Wrong.
I don't know, man. I'm confused on Owens and Goldberg. Everybody says it's Gold. I'm confused.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a throwaway, but where your main title is going to switch hands. So do you really consider that a throwaway, even though it's predictable, as some are saying? And I'm hoping we're all wrong. I'm hoping that Kevin Owens, who suddenly has a character change, does not change characters and later loses his title. I'm hoping that Goldberg goes in as a challenger and does not come out as champion. I'm hoping Brock Lesnar finds his way to wherever the heck this pay-per-view is taking place, um, and decides to interfere so Kevin Owens can keep the title. I'm hoping that's what happens.
Yikes. It's just like, we know. There's really no reason to put the world title on Goldberg. But he still has a name. If he goes on ESPN, people will know who he is. And it seems like they want to put that Goldberg-Brock Lesnar match on last. So let's throw a title to justify it. I don't know that I really don't know why. I mean, it's in Orlando. We're going. I don't know. I think it's going to be a solid WrestleMania. But there's nothing that's like, oh my God, I've got to see this match. And the world title on Goldberg does not elevate that for me. The world title on Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho at WrestleMania, that does something for me. That piques my interest. Are we going to do title versus title? There's so many different ways they can go. Could they just put Kevin's title on the line? So there's a lot more to it where it's just about the pride and respect, or integrity and all that great stuff with Brock Lesnar, Goldberg.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this card, other than me hoping what happens in the main event, there's two matches that I'm looking forward to. And it's strange that I'm looking forward to one of these two matches, because one of the matches I'm looking forward to is Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns. That's one of the matches.
That is not strange.
It is strange because it's only strange in the regards as Braun Strowman is still this guy that earlier last year, we were like, this guy is green as grass. Why are we seeing this guy? Why did this guy come up from NXT already? It has been a remarkable job done by the WWE and Braun Strowman to be this compelling character at this stage. I am rooting so hard for him, not for Roman Reigns, and it's not because I dislike Roman Reigns whatsoever, but I am just falling in love with this Braun Strowman character. And I just want to see this. And then there's the Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe stuff, because Samoa Joe has been such a great badass lately. Not lately. Samoa Joe's always been a badass, but in the WWE's main roster, he's such a badass.
Man, I have two as well. One overlapping, the second one for the same reason. Your previously mentioned Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. If we were doing the color commentary magazine and we had to pick the breakout star, where you went, I think Dolph Ziggler, and I went with homeboy from Fox News. the Brontosaurus Rex, one of the Brodus Clay. I picked Brodus Clay. This is the role Brodus Clay should have had, Shane. This is what I was anticipating with his return. We put that out before he put on some glitter and some dancing shoes. All right. So that's why I love this for Braun Strowman. This is why I love this for Nia Jax, who also got a similar treatment as Braun Strowman. Feed her the indie people, let her squash, work her way up, Now she's taking on Sasha Banks. It's been a slow build for me, and I'm okay with that because we are now getting someone outside of the four horsewomen that is in the title picture. Because once she breaks Sasha Banks in half, I don't know what Sasha did to follow the love. I know she can't be champion forever. But it seems like, I don't know if that's the internet rumors seeking into my brain that all of a sudden Vince McMahon hates Sasha Banks.
I didn't hear that one.
You haven't heard that one?
No.
Yeah, that's apparently why she lost her title I mean, she hasn't fallen off too far because she's still in the mix because there's only 5 girls on the roster, Raw roster, so kind of by default. But apparently that's why she had the title. Believe what you will. But back to my point, Nia Jax, big fan, although she did try and play me on Twitter once. I'm still a big fan.
Oh my gosh.
Which is great because she was a heel and she was being very heelish.
And she favorited a tweet that I did a couple weeks back when there was a guy at the rec center playing basketball wearing a Nia Jax shirt. You know, she favorited that.
She's on her Twitter game. She did I don't know if she got any love from the article we did way back when, but she is very active on Twitter and usually trying to play somebody. She and Kevin Owens on that same mindset. Let's try and play somebody. Y'all better go ahead with that. Let me unleash my inner evil side.
So we are going to have a post show for WWE Fast Lane. So make sure you tune in Sunday night on YouTube or catch the. You know, we're gonna have a little 1 hour recap that will be, there. So we're gonna move past that. I want to ask one question to you, Mr. Darius Brown, before we go into the last segment, marking out. Down this week, we saw at the end Randy Orton let Bray Wyatt know intend on getting his title shots, and he set fire to Bray's shed, desecrated Sister Abigail's grave, and all of that. What the hell does that mean for AJ Styles?
Well, that probably means a triple threat. I'm assuming at WrestleMania, but which would be horrible. It's not that the match would be horrible, but I'm just talking about the integration of the three in the storylines and whatever. Stuck on why the frick? What is going on with? Did you get an explanation? Did you figure it out? Did it click for you why Randy Orton is associated with Bray Wyatt? Why did he pretend all of a sudden that he wasn't going to challenge for the title in the very next week? Listen, let's put my cards on the table here. I watched a fast-forwarded version on YouTube of SmackDown. So they compressed the entire 2 hours into 15 minutes. So they gotta skip some segments because I missed some things. Because I watched that whole thing and all of a sudden he popped up on the Titantron at the old stop and go. Please tell me what I missed. What did I miss? Why did he all of a sudden change his mind to go after the title?
Well, I'm gonna assume you didn't miss anything. They didn't give away any vignettes throughout the night or anything like that. What I'm taking this as is he got Bray Wyatt's 100% trust. I guess maybe this entire time, Bray never told him where Sister Abigail was buried.
Wait, when was she buried? I didn't know she was dead. Everybody's waiting for her to make her appearance in the WWE. Who killed her? Why are we searching for this murderer?
Now we know that Sister Abigail is not going.
How did she die?
It is not important. I'm just glad that we did not see Randy Orton trying to get it on with a corpse. There was no Katie Vick part 2.
Sister Abigail. Shame. They just killed off one of the most anticipated storylines with Bray Wyatt. Why is she dead? Why couldn't she just be missing or living her life in Africa, in the jungle of Brazil? What? Why did they do that? Why is she dead? I don't know. They are messing this man up. Horrible storyline. You make him a champ, and your first contender is all weird. Shame. If they would have said AJ Styles is got his right to face Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, and then Bray said, how about this, Randy? How about you jump up in this match too? You got a ticket to WrestleMania. Let's just go in and see what happens. And then he turns on him. We'd be anticipating it. We'd be waiting for it to happen. Whether they allow it to happen that night or on SmackDown the following, whatever. But don't give me. They better not give me a triple threat. Is what I'm saying. They better not give me a triple threat after they already told Randy Orton that he's going for the title. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't. I was hoping for more when this turn happened. I was hoping for more. I don't get it because Randy Orton wanted to infiltrate them and destroy them from within. Now, I guess when Daniel Bryan did it, and he was only with them for a cup of coffee, he was only with them for like 2 weeks. He didn't destroy them from within, I guess because he wasn't there long enough. So Randy Orton decided, I want to destroy them from within. So I'm going to join with them. They never won a title with me before me. So I'm going to now make them win a title, because before Orton, there was never a title in the Wyatt family.
So why is you worried about the Wyatts? They are championship contenders.
But he goes there to tear them apart, yet he helps bring them up first. So I guess, that was part of his master plan. I'm going to bring you up, bring you to the highest of highs, and then I'm going to make you, go crashing down. So then Luke Harper, bye-bye. But in doing so, he's now made Luke Harper the stronger fringe main event caliber person. So you're not really destroying Luke Harper. You've moved him away from Bray Wyatt, but now you might end up having to focus on Bray Wyatt and down the line Luke Harper at the same time. And then Bray Wyatt becomes champion. So in terms of, you've given this guy 2 titles in your quest to play apart. I'm confused.
Yeah. It makes 0 sense. And I lay at night staring at my ceiling, trying to reach into the depths of my soul to figure it out, and have yet to do so. So that will continue through WrestleMania, I'm sure. Makes no sense. Shit. We gotta move on.
All right, so let's get to this marking out. We've got a few minutes. Let's get to this marking out. So let's explain this and let's get this rolling.
Yeah, marking out. See, this leads perfectly into marking out. Marking out is a segment where we explore fans and their perspective because wrestling fans, it's much different from movie fans, television fans, sports fans. Wrestling fans are called, if they're really into what they like, they're called marks. We're called marks, and it's a derogatory term, if you will, which is weird, Shane, because if you get too in depth with the activity, the sport that you have a passion for, those in the profession look down on you for trying to know too much. So we want to help our fellow marks out, Shane, because I know you've been to the show. I know you've seen some of the folks that attend these shows, and some of our friends will say they don't know that the lines are blurred. They don't understand. They have some kind of something's different about wrestling fans. So I'll give those who are in the profession looking out. Some of the wrestling fans are a little bit different. I'm not going to call them weird. I'm going to call them different, Shane. So they don't necessarily grasp they're being a little bit different from the rest of the people. But mind you, Shane, those professional wrestlers, those bookers, if you will, they were once also fans, but they forget this. So we're going to help our fellow wrestling fans out, our marks out, and over the weeks we'll kind of drop them some knowledge. I think, is it okay in 2017 to wear your professional wrestling T-shirt everywhere you go? Is that okay? So stuff like that we'll explore. All right, some things that people I don't think they know, Shane. I don't think they know how outside their bubble and even deep inside their bubble they're viewed. Okay, so marking out, that's what marking out's. It's like a Dear Abby kind of thing. We're trying to help them out, and then we'll also break some stereotypes of marks and say, is this okay? Is that okay? Yes or no? So tonight on Marking Out, I pose the question to you. Is it okay for wrestling fans to go on Twitter, to go on Facebook, to go on podcasts and book the shows? Do they know enough about the wrestling business to make claims that Bray Wyatt shouldn't be in a funky storyline with Randy Orton? That makes no sense. Do they know enough to wonder why Beth Phoenix is going to the Hall of Fame? Do they have enough knowledge and know-how? Is it a mark's place to really say whether or not Mike Bennett gets a shot at the WWE or maybe Drew Galloway's more deserving? So I want to get your opinion on fans. Should they be booking shows? Do they have enough knowledge? If they would take a fan and replace Brian Gewirtz or whatever writers currently writing at WWE, do you think a fan would have the credibility to be able to do something of that caliber?
I feel that there's nothing wrong with a fan doing fantasy booking. Whatever it is that we watch, you're watching basketball or football or something. Excuse me. You're watching basketball or football or one of the sports, and you'll be like, "Oh, why'd you make that pass? Or why'd you do that play?" After the game, you're gonna say, "You know what? They should have done this." Go back a couple years ago when it was Seattle versus New England in the Super Bowl at the 1-yard line. Why didn't you give the ball to Marshawn Lynch? You run that in. Everybody's going to play Monday morning quarterback, everybody's gonna, say what shoulda, coulda, would have happened because hindsight is 2020. We watch TV shows, we watch movies, we critique. We're very judgmental as people. So I don't see a problem with it. You're gonna have your opinion. You want to share your opinion. Now when you're one of those people who sometimes feel, I don't say feel, but you sometimes see this as real in the sense that, these people really don't like each other and they're really hitting each other and, you know, doing all these things for reals. And then you get out there, you start sounding, completely different than the others. That's when I think somebody needs to bring you to the side and say, you know what, hey, you know, just so you know, this is this and this, and Santa Claus is also not real. You know, I think in that regard, we need to have a little conversation with them. But I don't have a problem with fans trying to, book their WrestleMania. I mean, that's the reason why the video games, you can be the commissioner or the general manager and all this other stuff. Have fun with it. It don't mean a darn thing because we're not the ones that's uncreative, but it's nice to think, be like, 2 weeks ago I said they should do this, and see, now they're doing it. It makes you feel good.
I give you one more. I think when Eric Bischoff or insert any guy who's had 10, 15 years in the business and they criticize fans who when they come up with scenarios and they say they don't know what they're talking about or how long have you wrestled? Who'd you wrestle for? I think that's crazy because it's very big contradiction, right? Because they listen to the audience, right? That supposedly they listen to the audience. Why are you listening to the audience, and feeding in, who they like as a good guy, who they don't like, to get more television time if these people have zero idea of what they're actually watching? And you hear all these accounts of ECW, we heard it. WCW, we've heard this. And we mentioned Bruce Pritchard earlier in the show from his own accounts. A lot of these things are booked. These shows are booked just on the whim and at a moment's notice. These, Raws and SmackDowns. So, and we've seen a lot of things fall flat. We have Yetis and Giant Gonzalez and Nails, Shockmaster, all these ridiculous ideas from Dusty Rhodes and all these great minds. So for us to be questioned as fans, the shoe could be on the other foot. And a lot of times we're looking at you and asking you why you're booking this stuff. So I think it's great for fans to book the shows. I think that the WWE, they kind of turn down on fans a lot. Like if they see too much hype for something, then they push it away. As if, we can't do that because the fans have predicted this. So let's stay away from this storyline. Let's stay away from this movement. We know better. We know what's best for business. So I think marks get a bad rap in this circumstance. Booking the shows, we see it all the time. These people think that they're the experts, but guess what? If you were to put an intelligent, I'm not talking about Shane. I don't know if you know this, homeboy. This dude is some kind of sportscaster in Miami. And recently he did an interview with The Big Show. I don't know if did you happen to catch that? Well, it was leading up to talking about him, being in great shape. So this is a recent interview. So, and he's spitting all this, talking about, oh, back when you fought this guy and this guy, oh, you're making so much more money now. So he's spitting some things that seem pretty informed. But then he drops this one. He goes, hey, when you had that suplex with Brock Lesnar off the top rope and the ring just shook and fell all the way down, was that planned? Okay, that guy cannot be running the WWE. He cannot be writing. Sorry. He's questioning whether it was real. The line's too blurred. So his box, he needs to stay in it. But there's other people like yourself, like Stokester, Matt, guys who are informed. You see Sam Roberts now, who was just a fan. He had a show on a bigger level, being in the, I guess, Opie and Andy. But now he's progressing storylines on the pre-show. What's homeboy from Hot 97? His name's escaping me now.
Rosenberg.
Just a fan, interviewing people on Hot 97, wrestles on Hot 97. He's progressing storylines and different things. He had that segment with JBL and Paul Heyman. So fans who are knowledgeable, who have it all together, can tell the difference between real. It's okay to mark out and book the shows. So I wish that the fans would get a little bit more credit in this regard. There's some things that are wacky that we'll talk about in the future, but it is interesting how I think fans get a bad rap for being so engaged into the product they love. They get a little slap on the wrist for being too excited about their product. It's kind of weird, Shane.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes I don't know, because you're right. The other sports fans don't get that type of rap. It's just that guy's really into his sports, or that girl's really into her sports. They don't say that wrestler's really, I mean, that fan's really into that wrestling. Yeah, they don't get that.
You're a mark. You're an idiot, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my rant for the day, Shane. Had to get that off my chest. It was kind of bothering me almost as much as Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton.
Almost as much as Beth Phoenix getting into the Hall of Fame.
There's so much going on. Oh, if I wasn't just such a stupid mark, Shane, it wouldn't bother me so much. It's all real. It's all a fairy tale. It's all a fairy tale, Shane. It's okay. I'll be all right.
I mean, you get to take a break. You don't have to come back on the air tomorrow night. You can relax, save that anger and that vitriol for another episode of Hit the Ropes Radio
Sunday.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I am Shane Howard. He is Darius Brown. We thank you for watching us here on YouTube or listening to us on this podcast, whether you got it from Google Play, from iTunes, from Stitcher, from Podomatic, wherever the heck it is that you get your podcasts from. We thank you for listening. Please join us Sunday as we do a review of WWE's Fast Lane, and also check us out every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.